now present For the Record with Neil Heinen.
One of Madison's most beloved assets, our zoo, is next on For the Record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Heinen. The Henry Vilas Zoo is many things to many people. It's a jewel in our quality of life assets. It is recognized as one of the best small zoos in the country. It is a picture of inclusiveness and accessibility, and it is a key component of the conservation efforts of those who care about the natural world and its creatures. This coming Tuesday is the zoo's Save Our Species Luncheon, and we will talk about that and more as I welcome to For the Record Henry Vilas Zoological Society President Alison Prang. Nice to see you, Allison.
Great to be here.
5.5 years you've been doing this.
It's hard to believe.
Did you ever do this show when you were with the Cancer Society? I think you did.
I think we did, yeah. Way back when we were talking about smoke-free Wisconsin.
Maybe before that.
Maybe.
Well, it's nice to have you on in this wearing this hat. What's new at the zoo?
Well, one thing I'm going to say is we might be a small zoo relatively in size, but we have almost 800,000 visitors a year. And when you look at us nationwide, that puts us up to mid to large zoo. And we have a lot of pride in that.
Thank you for saying that. When I wrote that word, I almost questioned that because I kind of remember my old friend Jib Hubing talking about the zoo as being one of the really most respected zoos in the country. And I couldn't remember if small was a component of that or not.
Well, we're small and mighty in some ways and big and mighty in other ways.
Right. A lot of changes over the last 10 years for sure, last 5 years in particular.
No, we have a dynamic organization and one that recognizes and welcomes people from, we are Dane County's Henry Vilas Zoo, and we draw people, of course, from across Madison and the whole county. But when you look at the footprint of the zoo, when I started working there, I didn't realize how far our reach would go. And we see people drive from Superior, they come from Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, and they come to the Henry Vilas Zoo. And our reach is beyond our county and our city, and I think that's amazing because we're giving every guest that comes an opportunity to have a window on the world without leaving Wisconsin or without leaving our zoo. They get to be transported to Africa, they get to go to the Arctic, things that are really important when you talk about saving animals.
Yeah, I mean, most people I think do take this for granted, Allison, that by deed, I mean by the mere existence of the zoo, this zoo is free.
It is one of the things that we are blessed with. But a free zoo is not free to operate, something you've heard me say. And we're blessed that we've got the great community support that we have. We have strong county support as well. And the zoo is just a spectacular place. There is access for all, 365 days a year. And I do think we take it for granted. Before I worked there, it was someplace that we went all the time. We still take our family and go, but it's amazing to see everybody in the community there.
So as long as we support the zoo, it will remain free. I mean, it has to. But I also I think that that really enables the kind of inclusion that I was talking about in the open. That property, you go there on any given day, and it is a slice of Dane County, as diverse, I think, as you could find anywhere.
No, I think it is, and I think that's one of the things you like best. One of the best things about working there is just walking out on any day of the year. People are there right now enjoying the polar bears, enjoying winter, but getting to see people from all walks of life walking through the zoo, experiencing the zoo, and knowing that when people support the zoo, they support us being open every day. They support the amazing care that our zoo team gives to our animals. Our zoo director, under her leadership, really that is the most important thing that we can do, is provide amazing animal care and then provide that window on the world to everybody that wants to get to see it.
Yeah. Before we get into some of the conservation components and the role of the zoo in protecting our species, it's important for the infrastructure to be up to date, and there's been a lot of significant changes at the zoo in the last 10 years. Where are we, sort of in terms of where we want to be, in terms of the structures and the landscaping and the amenities that go with the zoo?
Well, I think anybody that has not been to the zoo in the past 4 years needs to race down and make a visit and see the Arctic Passage.
I was going to say, that's probably the...
And then also the Wisconsin Heritage exhibit. The Arctic Passage was the most significant recent update, and when I say significant in terms of acreage and in terms of the exhibit transformation that took place, it really is a window into the modern zoo and where zoos are going with the beautiful exhibits that we have for our grizzly bears, for our polar bears, and then of course our harbor seals. There's underwater viewing, which really is remarkable both for our guests, but when I think about the seals, I think about the fact that it was the first time they could peer out of their pool and you can see them interact with guests. And when you talk about the window on the world and connecting kids to have empathy for animals, it is a game changer for us. And it gives kids the ability to appreciate those animals and also allows us, again, to take the best care possible because of the facilities they have. The badger exhibit is another game changer. We are the original, I don't know if you knew, we're the original home of Bucky Badger, well, second home. When the students had the great idea of a live badger mascot in the 40s. Didn't work out so well on the sidelines. And we were so lucky to partner with the University of Wisconsin and with an amazing supporter of theirs, the Hamill Family Wines, actually to help us build the Wisconsin Heritage exhibit. And we have Bucky there into perpetuity. We have a Bucky badger joined by Kaminsky and Decker badger. And that's also been a game changer because that's our state animal. And I think sometimes people don't know, well, they assume we're the badger state because of Bucky, but that exhibit's allowed us to tell the story of, no, we're the badger state for other reasons, not just because of Bucky, but because of the mining heritage we have here.
Is there still a children's zoo, as they call it?
There is a children's zoo.
Within the zoo?
It is, and that's a fairly new feature also. And I think the thing about a zoo, and this is why we always are hoping and asking for community support, is that it's like a vintage car. Something always needs to be updated. But that's something, again, that the county zoo team and our zoo team always is looking for, because everything comes back to looking at the lens of making sure we provide the best care possible for our animals.
But there was a garden component to it too, wasn't there, for the kids?
There is, and that's actually maintained by some great volunteers that we have. They plant a vegetable garden every year. Those vegetables are used, obviously, within our zoo, and it's a beautiful feature.
Well, I think the relationship, you know, between our food that we grow and the animals that we depend on is an important relationship. Well, of course, zoos have a really critical role in the whole natural world ecosystem. We're going to talk about that with Allison Prang when we come back right after this.
For the Record, sponsored by MG&E, your community energy company.
For 2 decades, News 3 Now and Channel 3000 have paid tribute to top-notch teachers nominated by our viewers. Every month, we spotlight and salute an area teacher, and we want to hear about your favorite. If you know a teacher who deserves to be recognized as a top-notch teacher, send us a letter, an email, or nominate a teacher at channel3000.com.
Top-Notch Teachers, sponsored by Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries and by Concordia University.
This is an exciting time in the energy industry.
The world is changing, and we want to work toward common goals.
Toward a cleaner energy future, driven by innovation, powered by working together.
By working with customers, we provide customers what they want.
MG&E is your community energy company for the future, powering our community, sharing your values, partnering to meet your needs. Visit energy2030together.com to create a more sustainable future together.
Let's face it, the world could use some warmth.
5,000 years of Chinese music and dance in one night.
This is the best ever. My heart was touched tonight.
I love every moment, especially the message of the Chinese ancient culture
that comes from our Creator, and I could feel that in my heart and in my soul.
Our kids are 6 and 8 years old, and they enjoyed it and would like to come back to see it again.
For showtimes and tickets, visit shenyun.com. Coming to Overture Center for the Arts, May 7th and 8th.
No, that won't work. I need contacts. No, that's very important. Nope. I have to take my cat to the masseuse.
Skip the appointment. Renew your contacts prescription for free with 1-800-CONTACTS.
This coming Tuesday is the second annual Save Our Species Luncheon, a benefit for the Henry Vilas Zoological Society. And with me is Zoological Society President Allison Prang. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about the SOS Luncheon coming up. But I want to talk a little bit, Allison, about the role of zoos and sort of the dynamic that I think a lot of people have about the role of the zoo. And sort of traditional concerns about the welfare of animals, about the humanity of zoos, all of those things, and this idea of preserving our species.
Well, I think zoos, we talked about that, the important place that we play, or role that we play in the community as the crossroads of the community. But we also are, like I think I referenced, one of the only places people can come in the region. The closest other zoo that's accredited is obviously Milwaukee, which is a phenomenal zoo. But for a lot of people, this is the best place to access animals that they might read about in books, animals that they hear about in school, and have a chance to really understand not only about the animals, but some of the challenges they might face in the wild, or see what their habitats. I think about, again, the Arctic Passage and our polar bears. What does their habitat look like? And how do we explain the challenges that they face in the wild?
The opportunity I've gotten to talk to zookeepers on occasional behind-the-scenes visits there. It's too bad more people don't get an opportunity to do that, because the professionals at the zoo treat every single animal as if this is an environment that is to their benefit. That this is a really healthy living environment for these animals.
It is, and that's one of the remarkable things. Again, our zoo is amazing. Our zookeepers take amazing care of those animals, and they know everything about them. And one of the things I think that people don't always think about, because they think about a great destination for families, is the work that goes into not only the care, but the why zoos exist. And as greater challenges arise for species globally, zoos and aquariums are playing a more and more important role as one of the places that we can make the last stand to save species from extinction. And that's something zookeepers on our team just got back from, actually I'm thinking about one specifically from South Africa, where he was in the field working on saving African penguins and their penguin chicks, because they're in great trouble in the wild. And it's so important for us to be able to not only help and do the field work in the wild, but to be able to come back and have him provide that story to our community, because we need people to be concerned and be aware of the really enormous difficulties. I think it's over 26,000 species face in the wild. They're endangered, and we need to do something. And one of the best ways people can support doing something is by supporting their local zoos and aquariums. But an important caveat is their local accredited zoos and aquariums, because we are an association of zoo and aquarium member. That is kind of the goal. The Good Housekeeping seal of approval is a good way to explain it.
Yeah.
It means that we have the highest possible standards for our zoo, for our animal care, for everything that we do.
Are there species that might be extinct? Were they not in zoos today, Allison?
I don't know if I can answer that specifically, but what I can say, actually I can say that the zoos have been critical. I think of animals like the black-footed ferret, which out west they thought that they were gone. There were, again, different challenges that they faced, and zoos worked with conservation groups, with farmers, or with ranchers, and they've brought them back from the wild. They found one little pocket, and zoos and aquariums work with conservation organizations, with scientists, with experts on breeding. They work on things when animals look like they are in trouble or have the ability to work on those things. And our zoo team is intimately involved in those things, from species survival programs. Again, our zoo director, Rhonda Schwetz, is a leader in orangutan conservation, and they look at all of the things that need to be done in these species survival groups with a species survival plan, and they look and they literally plan not only for the animals that we have, but look at the work being done in the field.
Yeah. I mean, this may be a slightly dystopian view of the future, but you know, I'm sure that the indisputable change in our climate is adding a sense of urgency to the role that zoos play.
And I think that's something that's, again, it's something we talk about. If you visit the Arctic Passage, there is one little area that we have that's an opportunity for guests to engage and play. It's a activity, and it talks about the plight of the polar bear and their way that they have to work to get to sea ice, and how that's becoming more challenging, and that's challenging for their existence. And so it's, again, working to tell the story, especially to young people, because they're learning, and telling people what they can do, even through local actions at home, that can save those animals in the wild.
I always think this is interesting. Are there species that we would like to have at the zoo that we don't have? I mean, are there barriers to having as broad an array of species as we would like?
Well, I think we have a pretty good array, and I think we're restricted in our land. And again, our zoo team is always looking at that, because that is their job, and they really do a good job planning and looking at what the best animals are for the facilities that we have. And so I know that we always have a few ideas up our sleeves, and we will share them when we have the time.
Some rare exotic snake or something.
We have some pretty exotic snakes.
Yeah, I know. I tend to avoid that.
Madagascar hissing cockroaches.
You know, I don't think I knew about the Madagascar hissing cockroaches.
Yeah, well, you can always check those out.
What are the favorites still at the zoo?
Well, I know what my favorites are, and I think it as you know, it depends on what people. Some people love the creepy crawlies.
Yeah,
they love the herpetarium as the first visit that they make. For me, I love Harmon, our rhino. He is amazing. He's fun to watch. It's an animal that's got challenges also in the wild. Polar bears are a huge favorite. Our lions, our tigers, our orangutans. I think it really depends on the person.
Are there always conversations with other zoos, Allison, about who's got what, who's breeding what animals might be available?
Yes, absolutely. And going back to the work that our zoo team does, the species survival plans work together, and that's why the AZA accreditation is so important. It's a network of over 230 zoos and aquariums who work together at saving animals literally from extinction, and they are constantly looking at everything from stud books to understand what animals should be together, to looking at what animals are most challenged at that time and what we need to do to work together with our other counterparts, whether it's the World Wildlife Federation or other organizations, to figure out what we can do to ensure species have viability in the wild.
Is the Children's Zoo mainly where there's access to actually petting some of the animals? I mean, are there other areas where the animals are walking around?
Oh, we don't, unfortunately. We don't have petting area. We do have goat feeding, so if people want to engage.
Petting may not be a good idea in zoos in general.
I think in general that's a change that has come about, and again, I'm not the animal person at the zoo. Right. It's not something that we have at our zoo. I think every zoo, again, does different things, and what we've chosen to do with our children's zoo is put animals in there that kids are able to go see and relate to, that they're interested in, and that fit with the zoo team's master plan for what we wanted to have there. And we have everything from our aardvark, Ayla, to meerkats, and to one of the crowd favorites, which is red pandas. And they have a great habitat there, and they're so popular. That's another place that our zookeepers do so much because of working to conserve those red pandas.
Yeah. So are attitudes changing about zoos, Allison? Can you tell over the 5 years you've been doing this?
I think that in Madison, and we're really lucky. We know that we are a much loved community treasure, and people talk to us about that. And some of the best things that we hear are letters that people write after they visit. And I think that it's our job to make sure that we maintain that connection in our community.
All right, we're going to talk about the Save Our Species luncheon when we come back with Allison Prang right after this.
Soldiers in the Army National Guard serve to give back to their country and communities. Their part-time commitment qualifies them for an array of benefits, such as affordable health and life insurance benefits, education benefits, including tuition assistance, student loan repayment and GI Bill programs, a retirement plan based on part-time service, and VA home mortgages. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about all the benefits available in the Army National Guard.
We're doing well here in Madison, but not every community has access to fresh foods. We're changing that.
Mayor Paul Soglin used his know-how to create the Healthy Retail Food Initiative to bring grocery stores here to Allied Drive and across Madison. But that's not all. Mayor Soglin's leadership is creating thousands of affordable apartments. He's focused on increasing access to affordable health care and reducing economic inequity.
We've accomplished a lot in my time here as mayor in Madison, but there is more to do.
Paul Soglin, getting the job done for Madison.
Not gonna happen.
That's it. I'm calling Kohler about their walk-in bath.
My name is Ken. How may I help you?
Hi, I'm calling about Kohler's walk-in bath.
Excellent. Happy to help.
Huh?
Hold one moment, please. The Kohler walk-in bath features an extra wide opening and a low step-in at 3 inches, which is 25 to 60% lower than some leading competitors. The bath fills and drains quickly, while the heated seat soothes your back, neck, and shoulders. Kohler is an expert in bathing, so you can count on a deep soaking experience.
Are you seeing this?
The Kohler walk-in bath comes with fully adjustable hydrotherapy jets and our exclusive bubble massage. Everything is installed in as little as a day by a Kohler certified installer. And it's made by Kohler, America's leading plumbing brand.
We need this bath.
Yes. Yes, you do. A Kohler walk-in bath provides independence with peace of mind. Call 1-800-852-4080 and ask about saving $1,000 on a walk-in bath. Or visit KohlerWalkinBath.com for more info.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.
Well, that looks familiar. One of the residents of the Henry Vilas Zoo, and my guest is Henry Vilas Zoological Society President Alison Prang. And this Tuesday, a couple of days left. People better hurry if they want to get tickets.
They should hurry. It's going to be a great luncheon. It's
the Save Our Species luncheon.
Yes, our second annual one. Yep. We've got some fantastic speakers. And as you were talking about, we want to have a conversation on conservation and the way that zoos and aquariums are changing that conversation, and try to really get people more engaged in not only supporting the zoo because of the love of the zoo, but helping support us because of the work we're doing to save species.
Tell folks who the speakers are, because they're great.
Well, we've got one, I will call him, I guess, a native son. He graduate of the University of Wisconsin Vet School, also of West High School, Chris Dold, who is the Chief Veterinary Officer of SeaWorld, and another counterpart of his, who's a global leader, John Cavelli. Chris Dold is an amazing guy. He can talk about some of the things that they've done at SeaWorld, some of which might be good discussion points. And then John Cavelli is a leader in global conservation efforts for zoos and aquariums.
I suspect these two guys know each other.
They know each other a little bit. I was actually just at a meeting with them last week, and they're really people that you want to hear about if you care about what's going to happen in the natural world. Yep. They are impacting how we approach saving species, from Florida manatees for Dr. Dold to work that some of the organizations, John works for all the New York zoos and aquariums, but from working with snow leopards that have been, if you've seen the Zoo TV show, sorry it's not on WISC, but things that they've done, like going through Pakistan and through war-torn areas to rescue animals and to make sure that those species are viable and able to survive.
And this is a fundraiser, right? I mean, let's not lose sight of the fact that this zoo is still dependent on support from the
We are
residents.
dependent on support, and it is a fundraiser, and a free zoo is not free to operate. We want to keep doing more than what we're doing today, and unfortunately that takes more resources.
Sure.
But we're so blessed to be in this community. But we're encouraging people. We want to make sure this is a sellout crowd, and we want to make sure that we fill the room. So we have a few seats left, and if people are interested, tickets are available. And it will be an amazing program that people will be talking about afterwards.
Is this the biggest fundraising event of the year for the Zoological Society?
It's our biggest indoor one, but we do a couple of big outdoor ones.
Right.
We actually more than a couple, but they're all different, and that's the other thing that we do. We try to have events that appeal to different audiences and that give everybody the chance to take part.
Wasn't there one over the Halloween week?
We do Halloween at the zoo,
Yeah.
which is more of a community event.
Right.
We do Zoo Lights.
Oh, that's right.
Which is ran for about 5 weeks this year, and we had over 30,000 guests at a time of year when we didn't have any before. Again, so important to the support that we can provide to the zoo and the operations of the zoo.
Any dreams for what's next you want to share with us, Allison?
We always have dreams, and I will say that people should keep their ears tuned as we work in the next couple years, because things are always changing, and I think there are some exciting things to come.
There's modern design theories that would allow us to do more within the space that we have with the zoo.
There are, and that's something that is talked about a lot, and there are a lot of ideas, and we work from a master plan that gets updated and we've got a lot of big dreams. And this community, I will say this about the zoo, we are a world-class zoo. So many people, and we're a world-class community, so many people talk about it. We want to make sure that this zoo fits right in along the other great achievements that we're having.
Very cool. Allison, thanks very much.
Thanks for
nice
having
to talk
me.
with you.
Yeah.
We're going to come back and wrap up For the Record right after this.
Get new floors during Empire Today's gigantic 75% off sale. That's carpet, laminate, and even hardwood 75% off. Empire makes getting beautiful new floors easy. See samples in your home, get a free estimate, and have your floors professionally installed. Update your floors with Empire and get 75% off carpet, laminate, and hardwood. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. One steel bar and 700 pounds of dead weight versus one single loop of T-Rex brute force, the absolute strongest duct tape. The tape survives unscathed. The steel, not so much. T-Rex brute force is the absolute strongest duct tape. The unmatched strength of a single loop of tape holds more than 700 pounds. And with Forge Link technology, you can conquer the most ferocious challenges. Bite hard with T-Rex brute force.
Get double. Double? Yeah, double. Double your tax return.
Right now at Mad City Mitsubishi.
Buy any vehicle, new or used, and we'll do your taxes plus double your return, up to $2,500.
Or you can get a minimum of $4,016 for the old crap you're driving.
Plus a 30-year, 300,000-mile warranty on new and used vehicles.
Don't forget about credit amnesty.
If you bring home $350 a week, you could get $30,000 in credit. Double your tax return.
Up to $2,500 at Mad City.
Mad City Mitsubishi.
5,000 years of Chinese music and dance in one night.
This is the best ever.
My heart was touched tonight.
I love every moment, especially the message of the Chinese ancient culture.
That comes from our Creator, and I could feel that in my heart and in my soul.
Our kids are 6 and 8 years old, and they enjoyed it and would like to come back to see it again.
For showtimes and tickets, visit shenyun.com. Coming to Overture Center for the Arts, May 7th and 8th.
My thanks to Allison, Prang, and to you for joining us. We'll see you next week on For the Record.